Why the fuck did we watch Spawn?
Because we didn't have any other ideas.
I wish we did.
Plus, you loved New Line Cinema in the 90s, right?
No!
Welcome back to another Out of Touch podcast. I'm Chris, and that's Bill, and today we watched Spawn from 1997, and also we watched the first episode of the HBO animated version of Spawn. So, Bill, how do you feel about Spawn?
I think I hate Spawn as like a concept in of itself.
Really? Even like the animated one?
A little.
Why?
It's kind of boring. I mean, maybe if I watch past the first episode, I'll feel differently. And maybe that my feelings toward it were tainted because we then watched the fucking movie.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, so for anyone that doesn't remember, Spawn's a character from the 90s.
Yes.
And he fucking looks like it.
And he was red hot, from when he debuted until about 1997.
Gee, I wonder what happened in 97 that could have caused Spawn's decline in popularity. Oh wait, the movie Spawn happened. So, Spawn is a character published by Image Comics,
Yes.
which rose from the ashes of a bunch of writers and artists quitting Marvel. Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld, Jim Lee. They were like, we'll do our own comics. It'll be great and awesome. Most of it was garbage.
Yeah. I mean, I have fond memories of some of the comics, but
Look,
yeah, they were. Alan Moore wrote a bunch of issues of Youngblood.
Okay.
Nobody remembers Youngblood.
No. I don't even know what the fuck that is. A lot of times I was given a bunch of old comics once from my birthday from a relative, and a lot of it was like 90s comics, and there was some Image comics in there. I swear to you, half the Image characters I've seen from back in the day look like knockoffs of real characters. There was some guy that just looked like Batman without a cape.
Yeah, I don't know who that is, but the big Image comics I kind of think I sort of know, and I could be wrong because maybe some of them are not Image comics, but you've got Spawn, you've got Gen 13, you've got Youngblood, and Savage Dragon, I think, was an Image comic too, right?
Still is.
Okay.
And he's different in that he's still going.
Yeah.
Spawn's still going too. I mean,
yeah, there's been multiple Spawns by this point.
yeah, I mean,
Spawn is a cool drawing.
sure.
Most of Image comics in the 90s were cool drawings.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rob Liefeld, legs aside.
Yeah. I mean, there's that hilarious... Rob Liefeld can laugh at himself. I mean, there's the hilarious The Pouch thing he made. But, yeah, Spawn is created by Todd McFarlane, as you said. His name is literally Spawn, so he could be next to Spider-Man on the shelf, because Todd McFarlane got famous drawing Spider-Man.
Is that... seriously?
Yes.
Wow. I know McFarlane also famously created Venom.
Yes.
And, shockingly, Spawn looks a little like Venom.
He looks a little like Venom. He looks a little like Spider-Man. But yeah.
I hate comics from the 90s.
Yeah, it was a weird period. But...
Oh, you mean the period where Batman's back got broken, Superman died, thus cursing comics characters forever to die and come back and die again?
Yep. Death of Superman, Thunderstrike Thor, wrong Spider-Man. Even though I love the way Ben Reilly looks as Scarlet Spider, that costume is so 90s.
I mean, Nightfall Batman. Though I think that might have been deliberate.
Yeah, that was on purpose, although in the 90s, kids like me were dumb and were like, no, Batman looks awesome now. And they're like, that's not the point. You're supposed to hate John Paul Valley Batman.
Yeah. I mean, his design got worse as he got more deranged, I guess, thus making him less cool.
Indeed.
I think when he first suited up in his Nightfall out, people were like, yeah, but then they kept tweaking it more and more and more to the point where it's like, the fuck is this?
Yes, so this was the era of crazy comic book stunts.
Wacky poses on covers, bending in weird ways, and that's Spawn in a fucking nutshell.
Yes. Spawn is an awesome drawing. He's got cool chains. He's got like a awesome cape. He was so cool. Like, and granted, I have not remembered a lot about Spawn over the years.
He was a character I actually knew as a kid. That has to mean something.
Yeah, I remember seeing some things of Spawn and thinking he was cool and liking some things. I can't tell you shit about the comics besides like some scattered remnants of what I remember, but you know.
I've read one Spawn comic and it was the crossover with Batman.
Yeah.
I know, right? I read a Batman comic. Go fucking figure.
Which is canon in like the Spawn comics. Because doesn't Batman throw the Batarang at Spawn's face, and then Spawn has like the shoelace tying up his mask for a while?
Dude, I read it once like 10 years ago. I'm not going to remember.
Okay. Well, yeah, that happened.
Sure.
Also, wasn't that like dedicated to Jack Kirby or something too?
I don't know. I read it 10 years ago.
Man, okay, Bill. I'm sorry.
I'm supposed to remember every book I've ever read?
Yes, because we're doing something on the internet.
I guess I should have dug it out and reread it just so I had some more Spawn in me. But you know what? I don't want to now.
You don't want anything to do with Spawn.
No. I hope Todd McFarlane's self-directed reboot never happens now. Because I hate Spawn now because of the movie.
Okay, fair is fair. So, Spawn 1997.
97 was a nadir of comic book movies.
Yes.
And it was also like, I guess, like you said, it was the peak of Spawn, though.
I mean, it really was.
Because he had his... Yeah, how did he get an HBO cartoon?
He got an HBO cartoon.
How did that happen?
I have no idea. The HBO cartoon is fine.
It's got good animation. It's clearly aping the little Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah.
But it's just a weird thing that exists.
Yeah.
I don't think HBO's ever made a cartoon ever again.
I have no idea. I don't know too much about HBO.
They don't make cartoons?
They made Fraggle Rock.
They did make Fraggle Rock.
Yeah.
And they make Sesame Street now.
There you go.
So they have a history with Muppets. Not much history with animation, though. So that's why this sticks out. It's weird.
It is weird.
This was the time when, like, if a comic book character got a cartoon, it was a Saturday morning kid show. I don't care if your mutant turtles are stabbing motherfuckers and drinking beer. Nah. They're going to say cowabunga dude and be for children now.
The cartoon is more edgy than the actual movie.
Well, the movie was PG-13.
Oh, it was PG-13.
Oh,
okay.
yeah. Dude, they were not going to greenlit a live-action Spawn movie in 97 that was rated R. Who the fuck would that movie be for?
That's true.
Because, let's face it, teenagers can't see rated R movies.
Yeah.
Because that's who was reading Spawn. Yeah, maybe you had some people in their 20s, but not enough for an R-rated movie back then. Now you maybe could, if Todd McFarlane wasn't so insistent on directing it himself.
Yeah.
Because I guess he's got a massive ego.
No.
I mean, he named his toy company after himself, so...
I mean,
look, he makes good toys. I'll give him that.
his toys are pretty dope.
Yeah.
Notice how he promoted his toys at the beginning of the episode of Spawn we watched.
Yeah. And you told me he introduces every episode?
I think he does introduce almost every single episode. Maybe not in the second season, but I know in the first season he introduces like every episode.
I mean, that's something like Stan Lee would do, but it would be like a voiceover back in like the 60s or whatever, or 70s. Like Spider-Man and his amazing friends. Difference between Stan Lee and Todd McFarlane. No offense, Todd McFarlane, but Stan Lee has way more charisma. I mean, had way more charisma than you.
Yeah.
Stan Lee's still alive in my heart, damn it.
Yeah. He's one of the greats. It's a weird thing. You know, I guess like
okay,
we'll go right into the 97 movie.
Should we like explain what is Spawn?
Okay.
Because I saw a cartoon and a movie, and I'm still not even fucking sure.
Okay, Spawn.
Besides a cool drawing.
Spawn is a special ops soldier named Al Simmons who is set up to die on a mission and comes back to Earth as a Hellspawn. Because he's a Hellspawn, he's supposed to kill people in order to make more Hellspawn for Malbosia's army to eventually take over the world.
Okay.
or maybe fight heaven. I don't know.
I think those two go hand in hand. I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. Like, in the movie, it's really bizarre, his whole, like, reason for being a hellspawn, because we're gonna go right into the 1997 movie, because there's a clown guy named the Violator.
Oh my
He's working with the head of Al Simmons' private military company.
Played by Martin Sheen somehow.
Yeah, whose name is Jason Blood.
And he's doing like a performance like this. I'm Martin Sheen. I'm a good actor, I swear.
It is very bizarre. Yeah,
Heated movie.
Yeah, Jason Blood is pretty much working with this demon to make a virus to destroy the world because reasons.
Well, he wants to make it so he could, like, I don't know, be very powerful and influential.
Yeah.
And he can't be killed because he gets a little thing installed in his heart that if he dies, everybody dies. But of course, weird, horrible clown man's whole plan is for Spawn to kill him and kill a lot of people.
Which I believe is what the clown man's plan is in the cartoon. The only difference is if Spawn kills, I think, Jason Blood, he will come back as an ultimate hell spawn or something because he's so evil. I could be wrong.
I don't know.
But
I don't know.
yeah, this movie is ridiculous.
Yeah.
In the opening scene with Jason Blood, he puts out a cigarette in a bowl with two scorpions as his female bodyguard is playing with a tarantula just because they're evil and they're scary animals, but they're their pets.
Yep. That's that. Yep. I don't. Fucking hell.
Al Simmons wants to quit being a mercenary because he accidentally killed a bunch of innocent people. So they decide to kill Al Simmons because the Violator said he wanted Jason to kill one of his soldiers to become a hellspawn. Because reasons. And that's kind of where the movie starts. After a very impressive CGI credit sequence with names that you can read very well.
Oh, yeah. I didn't get a headache at all. My eyes didn't feel like they were crossed and dilated from a visit to the eye doctor. Didn't feel like that at all.
Listen, Bill, some movies like this have to exist to pioneer visual effects.
Jurassic Park came out 4 years before this movie.
Well,
Terminator 2 came out sometime before that.
well, those people were really good. This is so like normal people can do stuff.
No. I was reading as we were watching. The people that did the visual effects for this movie used to work for ILM.
Oh.
And I think ILM might have also been involved.
Well,
They might have did the couple of good shots.
keyword used to. Clearly they were fired for some reason.
They were caught snorting cocaine on a model of the Millennium Falcon while banging various things.
Let's just say visual effects are rough.
Rough?
All right.
Oh my god! This movie is some of the worst CGI I've ever seen in a mainstream release.
Here's a montage of some of our favorites.
Oh, God.
Just put in a bunch of pictures of Malbosia and the Violator.
Oh my god! Like,
And then all the hell spawns.
oh, why are they dancing? They're dancing, Chris.
Yeah.
Why are they dancing? Why is there just like 3 shots of Malbolgia they just keep using? Why is his mouth open and he's talking?
Why is his mouth constantly changing sizes?
I don't know.
Like his bottom jaw gets like bigger and stuff.
He's just like,
I can't close my mouth.
Yeah.
oh my god.
Spawn 1997 is a rough movie.
And then there's the CGI cape.
Yes. Which sometimes goes from looking okay to
Like-
just being like awful.
Yeah.
I will say, I think the Spawn suit looks pretty good though.
Well, because they actually made it like in real life.
Yeah.
I wish they would have did that with the cape sometimes.
Yeah.
Because he looks weird without the cape.
I mean, like,
How am I supposed to know that's Spawn if he doesn't have a cape, Chris?
I mean, on the cover of this 4-pack of Mortal Kombat, and Spawn, he clearly has a regular cape. And there must be promotional images with Spawn with a regular cape.
It's probably drawn on.
Maybe.
There's really not much to say in regards to the story of this movie. So I know we have a tendency to just beat for beat recap shit. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I don't want to relive this movie.
Yeah, there's not a lot to recap, so let's just talk about
He
weird
spends
shit.
half the movie sitting on rooftops, dressed as a hobo.
Yeah, it's weird. He doesn't get his Spawn suit right away when he comes back from hell. I mean, granted, Spawn most of the time spends a lot of the time in the comic and the cartoon show just sitting on top of a church crying and trying to remember who the hell he is.
At least he looks cool.
He does look cool. He looks freaking awesome.
Not in the movie.
No. I mean, sometimes he looks okay, but yeah, it's weird.
Those shots are few and far between.
Let's face it, one of the major things about this movie that makes the movie a lot harder to watch than I originally thought. And this is the movie that I kind of think, at least going into it, remembering it, I'm like, I don't think this movie's as bad as everybody thinks it is.
Oops. Oh, what?
Okay, it might be as bad as everybody thinks it is. John Leguizamo plays the Violator, and he is in way too much of the movie doing way too much goofy shit.
At points where it's like, why is he even here? Like the weird cheerleader moment? What the fuck was that?
That is one of the most bizarre. There's also a lot of gross out humor. He eats a slice of pizza covered in maggots.
Ugh.
He has like skid marks in his underwear. He like farts way too much.
Ugh.
It is bizarre.
What a weird movie.
It is a weird movie.
Like, I feel bad because I think Michael J. White, I like him and stuff.
He's Black Dynamite.
He's Bronze Tiger in Arrow.
Yeah.
And that Soul of the Dragon animated movie from earlier this year. I mean, I've liked him in things.
Yeah.
He probably would have made a great Spawn.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not bad. He's not, like, other than John Leguizamo going too far, that's not really his fault. There's no bad performances other than, like I said, the Michael Sheen, like, weird voice he was doing sometimes.
It's really weird.
His
Yeah.
weird bad guy voice. It's like, just act, please. Like, no, don't do that. But, like, there's nothing wrong with Michael J. White's performance or anybody else, really.
Yeah.
It's like everything around them is, like, I feel like this movie, like, got, like, fucked around with in post almost. Like they thought, okay, we're relying a lot on the visual effects. If the visual effects look great, this movie's going to be awesome. Oh, no, we ran out of time and money. Shit. Okay, how do we compensate? Weird transitions. It's a comic book movie. We need weird transitions.
Yeah, it's weird because, Spawn is supposed to be a dark and broody character.
I mean, he's brooding.
Yeah, they could have shown him, like, more just in the shadows. Like, in the animated series, it works better because, like, Spawn's, like, confused. He doesn't know who the fuck he is. He's, like, sort of remembering. The Violator shows up and it's kind of, like, telling him stuff about himself. And, like, the Violator is just more, I guess, creepy in the cartoon. I mean, he still does stuff like he eats, like, gross things, but he's not really, like, cracking as many jokes as he is in this one.
He seems more deadpan, whereas the movie version seems to be, we're New Line Cinema, we made The Mask a couple years ago.
Yeah, I mean...
Do that. We also did Freddy Krueger. Do that.
Yeah.
Ugh.
He's, like, really weird, too. Like, he's, like, bizarrely shaped in the movie. He's, like, almost, like, too fat. And he's, like, really, like, short for some reason. And
He didn't seem that way in the cartoon, but everything was
No.
very stylized. It's hard to tell with that.
yeah, also, like, in the cartoon, it's one of those things where you're wondering, like, can other people see the Violator, or is it just Spawn that can see him? But in this, it's just, like, he's just there. He's making his nefarious deal with Jason Blood.
He really is just there sometimes. Like that time Spawn went off on his motorcycle and the Violator was just kind of driving around.
Yeah.
Like, did Spawn find him just cruising, or was Spawn driving somewhere and the Violator attacked him? The movie's so poorly put together, I couldn't tell.
Yeah, it is bizarre. I mean, this movie almost feels kind of, like, campy, but, like, it feels like a different type of campy. It's just, like...
It's not the Batman and Robin campy where it's
Yeah.
all, like, deliberately goofy. Well, I mean, the Violator stuff is deliberately
I
goofy.
mean, like, the Violator stuff reminds me of, like, a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers type of thing, except, like, way more, like, weird.
There's a lot of shots in this movie where I kept getting Power Rangers vibes just from Spawn. Like, shooting up from hell or whatever. The effects are so bad, it may as well be an episode of fucking Power Rangers.
Yeah, it's weird, too, because they, like, briefly go into his powers, but none of the stuff with... Like, one of the things in the comics and in the cartoon show is, like, Spawn has, like, a set amount of power, and he has, like, a countdown, and when the countdown goes to 0, he goes back to hell. So, like, that's one of the reasons why he doesn't use his powers all the time, because he doesn't want to use all this, like, stuff. And the other thing, too, is, at least in the cartoon, he's not really, like, good at using his powers, so he feels more comfortable getting guns and stuff, but they don't really... kind of like get into that. He just like gets guns because Spawn has guns in the comics.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering, like, where the fuck did he get all these guns?
Yeah.
He just got guns.
But Special Forces guy, he feels more comfortable with guns.
But where'd he get them?
In the comic, he steals them off of like a military base.
Well, it's a movie. You need to show things, scenes,
Yeah.
stuff happening. Maybe instead of having John Leguizamo in a fat suit dancing in a cheerleader outfit, have Spawn get some weapons. Just like a minute-long scene.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird choices in this. Like, instead of having the two detectives that, you know, kind of are trying to figure out, like, you know, they get involved in every time Spawn does something, they're like, what the hell is going on? They have Spawn meet up with, like, a kid.
Who the fuck was that weird guy?
That weird guy is in the show.
What is he, though?
He's like a previous Hellspawn that escaped, like, I guess Malboja's control or something. I don't remember off the top of my head, but he was a Hellspawn.
That's not really elaborate. He's just some weird magic-y guy that shows up.
Yeah. I mean, he does kind of say he was a Hellspawn, but I guess it never really is directly said. But yeah, he does. I think he does train Spawn in the cartoon. It's weird too because like in the cartoon, like Spawn's suit is like alive and it even has a name. And
is it Venom?
no, I think it's called like Letha or something. But also, there's a whole thing in the cartoon about like the cape being like one of the things that Hell uses to control like the Hellspawn. And one of the main things is like Hellspawn like breaking control of the cape.
The cape is barely a thing in this movie.
Yeah.
You'd be forgiven if this movie was your first exposure to Spawn. You'd be like, Spawn's got a cape?
Yeah.
What? When?
That cape's an expensive effect in 1997.
Just have a cape.
Yeah.
Just make a cape. Cloth exists. Batman wore a cape. It was cloth. Just do that. It's fine. People would have forgiven that.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird...
It was 97! You shouldn't have did a CGI cape in 97!
Really, I don't know what was going on, like, with this movie. They were really trying to push, like, the boundaries of what they could do with visual effects, but then realized they didn't have the budget to do that, I guess.
I don't know. I don't know. That Malboja.
There's all this, all the Hell stuff looks pretty bad.
It is horrible.
Yeah.
Good God. No wonder Todd McFarlane wants to make a Spawn movie without Spawn in it.
I guess. Because after the 97 one, they're like, no, he should just be like in the shadows and everything. I mean, he was involved in this movie. Name's in the credit like 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird movie. I don't hate it, but it is pretty dated.
I hate it a little bit. I'll forget about it in a couple days.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those movies. It's a bad movie. It hits you in the face, in the chest, and then it just like keeps going, and you're just like, man, what the fuck was that about? And then you kind of move on with your life.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a weird watch, and you know, I haven't watched it since I bought this like Blu-ray.
This was the first time I've ever watched it in its entirety. I've seen just channel flipping, came across it, was like, oh, this movie's kind of bad. Oh, what the fuck is that? And then was just able to change the channel. This is the first time I forced myself to actually watch the movie. And all I wanted to do was change the channel. But I couldn't change the channel, Chris.
No.
Why couldn't I change the channel?
We were just watching it. I don't know. I remember watching it as a kid and thinking it was cool.
Well, kids are stupid.
Yeah, they sure are.
And we like stupid things when we're children.
And I remember watching it when this like came out and thinking like it's not as bad as people think it is. But yeah, watching it again, I was kind of like, this movie is a lot rougher than I remember it.
Yeah. It's the reason why Spawn kind of faded.
Yeah. Yeah, every once in a while he'll pop up in like a fighting game like Soul Calibur 2.
Or Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
But that's it for Spawn mostly.
Yeah, I mean, Spawn has cool powers. In some ways he has like too many powers. I mean, he eventually seems like he could do anything.
I guess.
So like, I think he can like teleport, he can fly, he can shoot chains, he can regenerate.
I'll say this. There's a cool nugget of an idea in what Todd McFarlane's been pitching for a Spawn movie.
Yeah.
Where Spawn's not the main character. If he is just like the monster, like a Freddy Krueger, but he's not targeting like teenagers. He's targeting criminals and shit. And he's just this thing in the shadows that comes out every so often. But he seems like he wants to have a movie where you just never see Spawn.
Yeah.
Like almost where like you don't see Spawn, and at the last shot of the movie, holy shit, it's Spawn!
Yeah, either that or
I don't know.
you see Spawn like in the cartoon show. It begins with Spawn like killing those guys, with the mob guys like killing the reporters. Like you see that stuff, but instead of going to like Spawn sitting on top of the church crying and being like Wanda, it just goes immediately to the cops like investigating stuff. More shit happens.
I like, because we had talked about this once before, the idea where you follow the two cop guys.
Yeah.
And maybe even before that you introduce them, you have told me about this thing with the child killer.
Yeah.
And you don't even see, maybe you see some chains, maybe a hand, maybe a silhouette of like the cape envelop him, and you just hear him scream. And then that's when we hard cut to them, and then they find the message, which...
Oh, yeah. Like, if the movie just begins...
What's the message again?
So, there's a child murder, and Spawn kills him, and because Spawn's an asshole, he leaves, like, the child murderer's corpse in the cop's office with a note that said, he made boys scream, he made girls scream, so I made him scream and scream and scream. Like that's how the movie opens.
That
would be awesome.
That would be a sick opening.
And then it like goes on to like investigating like
and you treat it like
stuff.
if you treat it like the shark in Jaws, where you hint, you show a little, and you hint, and you hint, and then in the end, it's just all out. He's there.
Yeah.
And it's just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That's what you should do.
Yeah, because the whole movie could be like these murders Spawn, commits because Spawn's not a great hero. He more or less avenges people after they get killed. But these cops are investigating him. Maybe they find out some stuff about like Al Simmons. They start making like the connection of like, I think this thing is Al Simmons.
Maybe they dig him up instead of Spawn digging himself up.
Yeah.
Or maybe they dig him up and like,
or maybe
Spawn
they
is
go to dig him up and then you get a quick little glimpse of Spawn when he dug up his own grave to see himself.
Sure.
Like that confusion thing is still there, but you don't really see it.
Yeah. There's something to say about that, where if you don't want to actually follow him, you treat him like a movie monster. There's something there.
Yeah.
But you have to show the movie monster.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Not always. You Shark from Jaws that shit. You Predator that shit.
Exactly. Spawn is very expensive, but it could definitely work. Especially this way, the movie when it costs that much. And I guess like Todd McFarlane sort of wants to make that, but it almost seems like he wants to be more restrained with Spawn even more.
Which is weird.
It is weird because Spawn is cool looking.
Yeah, you got to show that for more than a second.
But I guess like Todd McFarlane also realizes mostly all Spawn does is like sit on top of a church and cry.
Which is like why centering the movie on
Yeah.
someone other than him is not necessarily a bad idea. You still have to have him in the movie.
Yeah.
Especially if you want someone like Jamie Foxx to play Spawn.
Yeah.
How is that going to work? You have Jamie Foxx play Spawn in a movie where you don't really have Spawn in it.
Yeah.
What was he going to do then? Play Al Simmons in a picture?
I guess.
And like a home video? Like, come on.
Yeah. Who knows?
I don't know. The fact that he also wants to direct the movie is crazy.
It is kind of weird.
That's probably why that movie is yet to get off the ground.
Yeah. Who knows? Anything else you want to say about Spawn 1997?
Don't watch Spawn 1997.
Unfortunately, I have to agree with Bill.
There was 3 comic book movies in 97. There's Batman and Robin, there was Steel, and there was Spawn. They all suck.
We've reviewed 2 of 3 on this channel so far.
How did New Line Cinema go from this to Blade?
I don't know. Maybe they got like a new manager or something in
I don't-
98.
I don't know. I mean, they did go from Dungeons and Dragons to Lord of the Rings, so I don't know what the fuck happened.
Never seen that movie, but I've heard it's pretty bad.
I've seen snippets, clips, and it looks terrible. And then it's like, how did this scene made Lord of the Rings? What the fuck? How did that happen?
Yeah.
But yeah, Spawn 1997. Maybe watch the cartoon. Maybe I don't know. Maybe
Yeah,
I'll try to.
Cartoon's fine.
I might try a second episode, see how that goes, see if it gets more interesting.
Yeah.
But that movie is no.
It's a weird thing. It's a little bit one of those things. It's like you could never go back.
No.
And yeah, so that was Spawn 1997. Don't go watch it.
No. Don't. Fucking Spawn.